back for 86 Central. Negative K, nothing further. Just see the cabbie in the corner. 18 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant check.
Protect and Serve Radio is on the air, presented by the City of Thief River Falls and sponsored by Imagine Salon, The Grand Stay, Reed Realty, and the Puck on Third. We now join our hosts, Chief Wittenberg and Officer Ryan Bassett, live from the Puck on Third.
Welcome, everybody, to the Puck. This is the first edition of Protect and Serve. And, of course, it is Chief Wittenberg and Officer Ryan Bassett who will be the hosts for the first show, Protect and Serve Radio. We go to the corner booth. Gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're here. Today's the first edition of Protect and Serve Radio. With me is my boss, Chief Dick Wittenberg, and the Mayor, Brian Homer.
We both have bosses here today.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so, Chief, if you want to kind of give us a little quick bio of how long you've been here and how long you've been doing this.
Well, I've been in law enforcement since 1981, so I'm getting old, and it's showing. I've been in Thief River here now. This is my 5th year this year, so it's been a long career so far.
All right. I'm Ryan Bassett. I've been here about 15 years, going on 15 years. And yeah, it's been a great career. Chief Wittenberg's been a great boss for me. It's been wonderful, a lot of stuff, new stuff happening. So yeah, looking forward to this program, looking to have some fun and have new different guests and different ideas, taking questions. So, Mayor?
Quick bio on me. It's my third term, 5 years at this position. I do have, I've worked with Dick in the past in my public safety role and 17 years in EMS, so I do have some public safety background, and I'm here to support you guys.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of setting it up, guys. You, of course, will be taking questions throughout this program, which will air once a month. Yep. Here live at the Puck, and you'll be addressing those questions too. So people have concerns out there with law enforcement. This is a great opportunity to find out those answers with you, and also be talking with somebody from the city each and every month as well, right?
Yeah, and people can not only get a hold of the radio on Facebook, but they can also, if they want to come in here and chat with us, more than welcome to do that. And we can answer questions, chat, talk, whatever you guys want to do. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about what's going on in the city right now, or crime, or just general questions. That's what we're here for, to connect with the citizens, and so they know what's going on around here. So, yeah.
And, of course, the mayor, as being the first guest from the city, Mayor Brian Homer. Brian, too, we're coming out of the winter season and into a summer season, so you'll have things to talk about throughout the summer months, kind of keeping people updated on the city then?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of events happening. This is the time of year when people are out and about and running across the streets and such, and, we got to kind of contain our kids a little bit. We have all the parks to play in, and this is a great place to start with just community service and the law enforcement to protect and serve, and answer any questions that you may have throughout the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Chief Wittenberg, of course, a chance for you to get away from the desk at work and get into a little more relaxed atmosphere with your big coffee cup and to answer some questions, right? Huh?
I don't go anywhere without this, so that really does keep me relaxed most of the time. But no, I get out and about too, so I actually try to get away from that desk as much as I can. So the voicemail comes in handy on my phone on my desk. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
a lot of questions that we're going to address later in the show.
Yep.
And also each segment you guys are going to have, or each time we do this, you'll have a different segment of different opportunities to go out and do different things. In fact, one of your first ones we'll be talking about momentarily is a chance you had to get outside and get to a helicopter unit, correct?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, it was just kind of understanding what goes on with Customs and Border Protection. It was a great experience, and these type of experiences are going to keep going for us. We're going to try to do different things each month, whether it's local or find someone from out of the area, and so we understand what they do, and the public understands what other areas of law enforcement too, not just us. So that's basically what we're doing right now.
All right. And Mayor Homer, before we get to that too, as mayor and as Chief Wittenberg just mentioned, I got a boss, you got a boss, everybody's a boss here, but as the city oversees law enforcement. How do you guys work together, and how is that working relationship?
Well, it's a great working relationship with the chief. It really helps out. We had a prior working relationship too, but all in all, you have to support the law enforcement. Kind of, sometimes you got to keep them within their realms of the budget and such. But we also got to take a really good look at behind the scenes, what the citizens don't see. What is our capacity within our law enforcement? What can we do to enhance their capabilities of what they can do on a day-to-day basis? How do they handle crime? What can they do to make it more cost-effective and more visibility and reduce that crime and keep our taxes low? And I think all in all, we've been doing a really good job within our force. And coming up, we're going to be hiring another deputy chief. So look forward
that process right now.
Look forward to that, and he'll probably be one of your guests coming up, whoever we decide. But no, this is a growing community, exciting times. We're not the same Thief River we were 5 years ago when I first took over the job as mayor, and Ryan can allude to that. 15 years here, we went leaps and bounds to the directions that we've had to grow, and I think right now we're sitting satisfactory. I think we got to look into the future though, because the town is continuing to grow, and how do we strategically do that without taking away some of our other essential services that we have for our community?
All right. We're going to head into our first break and hear from our sponsors, but when we come back, we've got more to talk about, including addressing questions from the public. I know you guys are anxious to get to that, plus the segment that we're going to head out and check out the helicopter as well. We'll do all that. It's Protect and Serve Radio, live from the Puck on 3rd.
So, welcome back to Protect and Serve Radio. A couple weeks ago, we had a chance to go on a mission, or actually experience a really cool thing. Customs and Border Protection, Air and Marine, came to town with Max Callhammer. He came out to the airport, and me and the chief went out there, and I interviewed him. We both did, and we got to do a segment with them and fly around the city and do a mission at the same time. It was a really cool experience. Got to ask them questions, fly around for a little while.
It was kind of nice doing two things at the same time. We actually took some crime scene photos, overhead aerial crime scene photos of a pretty serious crime scene. So it was fortunate that we had the helicopter here that day and were able to actually utilize it for some real police work rather than just sightseeing.
Yeah, so it was fun. I can't wait for the public to see it, and these are the type of things that we're going to keep doing. Exciting and kind of bring people in so they know what's going on. I had no idea what the Air and Marine Unit did for Customs and Border Protection. Now I have a pretty good idea. It was a lot of fun, so looking forward to the public seeing the stuff that we did.
So let's send it to the video and find out what you guys did in the air on the helicopter.
Welcome to the first edition of Protect and Serve Radio. We have a special guest with us today, Max Callhammer, who is with the Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Unit. Max, how long have you been with Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Unit?
I've been with CBP Air and Marine for just a few months, actually, since August of 2018.
Okay, and what did you do prior to working for Customs and Border Protection?
I was a flight instructor for the University of North Dakota for almost 11 years in Grand Forks, flying airplanes and helicopters.
Okay, what made you want to work for Customs and Border Protection?
It was time for a change. 11 years as a flight instructor is kind of taxing. Yeah. So, I had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things, but it was time for something different, something new. And this, the opening with Air and Marine was very appealing. It offered some stability. I could kind of stay home. I wouldn't be deployed or have the life of an airline pilot where you're gone a lot of the time. I've got kids, so that was very important to me as well.
Okay, and what kind of training did you have in order to start with them, or where did you end up going for how long with Customs and Border Protection?
So in order to apply for an Air and Marine position, I had to already meet certain requirements, flight time. So when I was hired on, I went to Southern Georgia for 5 months of federal agent training at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia.
Okay, and what kind of stuff did they have you do there? I mean, you are a pilot, so I mean, you had the experience, but what kind of stuff did they have you do with a helicopter for that training, just kind of in general, in order to get the experience you needed?
The training that I attended in Georgia was actually, there was no flight training involved. It was all federal officer training. So it was how to shoot, how to wear body armor, driving. It was all kinds of different stuff. Crime scene investigation. It was incredible. I mean, I got really a crash course in how to be a cop. So it was very, very eye-opening.
Yeah, kind of fair to be eye-opening. You had no law enforcement experience at all, and then you come into that, and then it's kind of surprising. So at what point did you go to your flight school for that part? Did you go to actual training for that?
Yep. So in our department in Grand Forks, we've got 3 different types of aircraft. We've got the UAS, our MQ-9 Predator UAS, and then we have our AS-350 helicopter, and then we have a Cessna 206 airplane. So the first thing I did when I got back was I hopped right into our ground school for the MQ-9 for the UAS, which we have in Grand Forks. So I stuck around and then did the training, and I was able to fly the aircraft right in Grand Forks. Got my initial operating experience knocked out, so I'm qualified pilot on the MQ-9 now. Next up in the process will be the aircraft transitions. I'll next be going to Oklahoma City for Cessna 206 training, which should be pretty easy. I've got quite a bit of experience in that type of aircraft. So.
All right, Chief, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
Let's talk about our mission today that we're going to do. And not only are we displaying the helicopter for the public today, but we're actually doing a real mission for a crime investigation that we're doing in town here involving an arson and a murder. So we're going to take some overhead photos courtesy of their helicopter, and so we're actually going to do a real mission today as well as PR.
All right, now we're outside with the helicopter itself. Max, can you tell us more about the helicopter?
Sure. This is a Eurocopter or Airbus now. It's a AS-350, single-engine, turbine-powered helicopter. We could fit 6 people. It'd be kind of tight in the back, but there's 4 seats in the back, 2 up front. But primarily what we do with this is we could do patrols along the border, northern border, or we fly a lot in support of other law enforcement for missions using our onboard camera or FLIR, or just visually observing certain things that are going on the ground.
And how much maintenance is required, and when is the maintenance required on this helicopter?
So there's certain inspections that you do every day. The pilot that's on duty would come out and he'd do a pre-flight inspection. So just making sure all the fluids are good, kind of like kicking the tires on your patrol car, really. And then after every flight, there's a after the last flight checklist that's performed. Other than that, some of the more outstanding, or I guess the larger maintenance, every 100 hours the helicopter comes in for an inspection, and then once every year the aircraft has an annual inspection. And then I guess in addition to that, there's certain components that are limited for how long they can be used. It's called a time life component. So after so many flight hours, that item is retired. So.
Okay, and how often are you in this helicopter? Every day, or is it kind of like so many hours a week, or for is training or missions that you're on?
For me individually, it's kind of funny. I found myself in this thing a lot more than I kind of anticipated. 3 days last week, 2 days this week, so it's been pretty busy. But there's somebody assigned to fly this thing almost every day.
Can you tell us, is this the aircraft that took the fire from the marijuana grow over in Clearwater County?
I'm not sure if this is the exact aircraft, but this is the type of aircraft that did take that fire, yep.
Yeah, we had the drug task force people doing an investigation over there flying over a marijuana grow, and they actually got shot at with a guy with the rifle on the ground that hit the helicopter and actually hit one of the occupants in the arm. So at Border Patrol and their aviation group were assisting us in that with the drug task force. So local law enforcement gets a lot of bang for the buck out of this support. So.
All right, here we go. 15. Engine movement, T-force coming up, and she's rising.
we go.
Okay, I can take radars.
Thief traffic, Copper 49 Alpha departing from the ramp. Will be straight out and to the northeast for Thief.
So Max, what kind of I know you guys, you said outside the helicopter about, a couple days a week, but what other kind of missions do you guys do in like the north, like up on the border? What kind of stuff do you guys do with this helicopter on a regular basis?
We do a lot of, just as boring as it sounds, a lot of patrolling back and forth, looking for, unusual things. We can transport Border Patrol agents or other law enforcement from area to area. But a lot of what we do is kind of in support of other units. Like, say you guys call up and you say, hey, we've got a high risk, something going on, we need air support for that. Okay, we'll fly over and we'll support you guys in that. So,
you guys do a lot of like search and rescue stuff, things like that.
Yep, actually, right when I got back, I got back probably the end of January. There was a couple missions going on. We were working in association with a couple of other departments looking for lost individuals or kind of a search and recovery, really.
Okay.
Locating overturned boats or missing people, things like that. That's where the FLIR really comes in handy. Like on a day like today, it might not be easy to see somebody, but you can definitely see a infrared very, very well, and it's very easy to pick up people and things. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that contrast between a warm body and the cold snow really shows up.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We've been very successful in failure to yields. We come in and find a guy that runs into the cornfield.
Yeah.
And we've been fairly successful picking the guys got the
tower right there.
Picking guys out of the cornfield and directing ground agents into them. We've found a few boats that have called in a distress signal on Upper Red Lake and those type of large bodies of water where we've been able to find that boat that's just floating and been able to direct the guys in the middle of the night. They don't have any lights or anything like that. We'll find that boat out in the water and then direct them in to rescue the people.
Yeah, I think part of it is people know what happens on the southern border.
Yeah.
And then nobody really knows what happens on the northern end.
Right.
As to what you guys do as far as aviation goes. So I think that's part of this whole.
And when you say people know what goes on the southern border, it's kind of a double-edged sword because people may see what's going on, but I don't really think they have an appreciation for what's going on. I mean, it is a lot worse than a lot of people think. There's so much going on. Yeah, this right here, this is our jam. This is what we excel at right here is, aerial photography or reconnaissance and stuff like that. So even with our MQ-9, I mean, when we're flying around at 20,000 feet, we've got a pretty good camera on that thing. We can get a lot of really good shots and follow vehicles and stuff like that. So
we do a lot of surveillances in the metropolitan areas as well.
So what kind of radio capabilities as far as you guys communicating with us and local agencies you guys have?
We have several different, we have the full range of VHF that we can tune in on a specific frequency to. We also have a radio in here that on the VHS side of the communications that we can act as a temporary tower or a repeater. But that doesn't do well in Minnesota with the trunking system anymore. But we do have another way to tie your Motorola 800s or STX 5000s into our aircraft and then speak right from our helmets through your handheld and then through the helicopter's antennas to the agents on the ground.
All right, we just completed a fly around Thief River Falls and completed a mission at the same time. Max, is there anything else that you can tell us, tell the folks out there, young kids out there that want to be helicopter pilots, how they can go about that process?
You bet. There's a lot of different ways to become a pilot. I went through the University of North Dakota, which is a great school. That's not the only way to do it. A lot of people join the military to become a pilot, but there's a lot of different options out there. So I would say just keep your options open and look at all your different opportunities and take advantage of every one.
Well, we can't thank you enough for coming over here and helping us out with this, and we appreciate your time very much.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
So that was our featured segment for this week. I want to thank Max Callhammer from Customs Border Protection Air and Marine and his partner. It was a great time. It was a heck of a learning experience to kind of understand and know what they do. I don't know what you thought of the experience, Chief. How you feel about it?
Well, it's nice to see what tools are out there that can support us when we need them. So, and having them in Grand Forks it's pretty convenient for us. It's nice, close, and a quick response time. So.
Yep. Yeah, and coming up next here after the break, we're going to be answering questions from Facebook, from the radio, TRF Radio on Facebook. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment about the show and ask questions. We've got some printed out here. We'll gladly answer them and get into specific detail, and then we'll discuss our next segment coming up here next month about what we're going to be doing. It's a pretty cool. It'll be a pretty cool segment. I think the public's really going to like it. So, yeah, that's all we got.
Yep. So we'll be right back after this break on Protect and Serve Radio.
Hi, welcome back to Protect and Serve Radio. I'm here with Dick Bittenberg and Mayor Brian Homer. So during this time frame on TRF Radio, we posted questions, or people can ask questions and send them to our Facebook site, or their Facebook site. And some of these questions that we want to address so people kind of have a better understanding of what we do. One of the questions that we got was about the new cell phone law. That cell phone law is actually going to go into effect August 1st of this year. And that's, you cannot talk and drive on your cell phone at all. Of course, texting and driving is illegal. It will always remain that way. Some of the stuff people are asking questions about as a police officer. Can we still get in trouble for that, or can officers do it? We're slightly exempt from that only because we can use our cell phone in the course of our duties. In case we can't use our radio, we got to call on the cell phone. But no, we can't just take personal phone calls and drive around on our radio, drive around on talking on our cell phone. The other issue was about our computers. We cannot, about people going, hey, can we type and drive? We're exempt from that. We are able to do that. We can run license plates all day, but that doesn't mean we drive down the road and do our reports. That is distractions, and that can cause a problem. So I don't know if you have anything to add about that, Chief? Or...
No, but I know the public has concerns about law enforcement being held to the same standards that everybody else is, and generally that is very true, but there are some exceptions to the law that they're actually in the law. Driving fast, for instance, is a good example of that, where we are allowed to drive over the speed limit in order to do our duty. So. Yep. Same thing applies with the texting or using computers or whatever police equipment we're using. So,
another question that came up was about a curfew, and that's 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., and that's for under 16 and under. So 17 and 18 you're good, but under 16, those are the time frames. There really isn't much of a noise curfew. I think the chief had mentioned something about construction. We'll get to that in a second. But you are allowed to have parties in your backyard, or get-togethers, I guess, per se, and have a fire pit. But the only issue that we run into is that if it's getting too loud or the smoke becomes obnoxious, then we actually can shut the party down if we get a complaint about it. So if you are being loud and the smoke's causing a problem, we will shut it down. We will come if we get a complaint about it. I don't know what do you have to add about the noise issue?
Well, basically, you have to keep in mind how what you are doing is affecting your neighbors. And that's what we ask, is that you just use common sense and be a good neighbor. That's what basically we're saying, is be good neighbors. and be the neighbor that you want to live next to, basically.
Yep. If you have any other questions, you can text the Pizza Hut text line at 681-1230, and we can get those here and answer your questions as soon as we can, or maybe next time. There was another question about someone smoking pot in their backyard. That every once in a while we get a couple of those questions. I would call it in. I'd call our law enforcement center with that. And so we can address it. It's still illegal in Minnesota, so you can't just be out smoking pot.
It is a petty misdemeanor crime, so don't expect us to throw the cuffs on and drag them to jail, but they would get a citation for that.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, guys, great job. Protect and Serve Radio. Live from the Puck on 3rd and Thief River Falls, brought to you by Imagine Salon, Grand Stay, Reed Realty in the city of Thief River Falls. You guys are going to be back again in another month, right?
Yep. We got another featured segment coming up here. It's with our K9.
All right.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
Real good. That's Live from the Puck. Protect and Serve Radio.